Good evening and welcome to another Strange Normal. My name is Bradley. We talk about the stranger things that happen in your normal life to give you a biblical understanding of what is going on, because there's going to be a lot going on. So hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell icon so you're notified when things like this happen. We're going to jump right into it tonight because we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we didn't have a show last night, so last week. Because some things came up and it just sometimes got in the way. So we're going to be moving things on to Mondays instead of Sundays. Monday nights are going to be the new thing because I just can't do everything, go speak everywhere and be back and prepared to do a presentation. We also might be doing some shorter videos in place of the live streams because that seems to be what actually works. I don't know why, but YouTube loves to have more short videos, and I think everyone else does too. So instead of one long video with everything in it, we're going to be producing some shorter stuff that is live. It seems live, but it's going to be more topical because we got a lot of different topics to talk about tonight, but I can't fit them all into a description here on YouTube. And so if you like the long ones, then leave a comment. But if you would like some short ones as well, hey, say I like both, or I like just the short ones. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about D.C. real quick. We're going to District of Columbia, the capital of the United States, because we know that's where this whole thing starts. Or does it? That's what we're talking about tonight, because you're going to find out it doesn't actually start there. And it's going to be very interesting what is actually happening here. I'm going to go off on a rabbit trail just for a second. The DC thing, we know that through Revelation 16, that it starts with the kings of the earth and of the whole world. This whole spiritualism stuff, that's where this whole thing absolutely begins, the culmination of it. And then it goes to everybody, the whole world. And so you got to think for yourself. And I realize if you're brand new to this channel, you're going, what? Where is this guy going? Go back and watch Starfall. Starfallmovie.com will give you the gist of what we're doing here. And there's also some prerequisites to get caught up in what's actually happening right here. The best videos on the channel. If you go there first, you'll see an explanation of everything that's happening. Man, this has just been a whirlwind. We're producing another documentary, by the way, and it's going to be really good. But we're going to DC because we want to reach people. And who gave me the idea was the Bowen brothers. They run a channel called Heritage and Hope, and they talk a lot about the Sunday Law. They talk a lot about back in their day, what is actually happening, not their day, back in the day, there's obviously two main issues that's going to happen, spiritualism and the Sabbath, and worship, Revelation 13, Revelation 16. And this is something that not only are they covering, but they're also covering it with great detail because they have a lot of historical books. It's not an advertisement for them, but I think what they're doing is fantastic. And so I opted, and when they mentioned it, hey, I think it's a good idea. Let's go hand out the truth about what's going on right now and how America is going to lose itself unless it's staying on top of the truth. And that's what's happening. So we're going down to DC. We're going to hand out some GCs. And also, I am, and a few friends, if you want to meet me, we're going to hand out GCs. And I'm going to try to go to Capitol Hill. Not try, I'm going to. This is going to happen. And I'm going to hand out a new booklet that I have. Oh, I'm so excited about this, guys. This isn't done yet. It's not in the printer yet. That's why I've gotten your emails. And I hear you. I really do. But I want to show you this. This is the more done version. This is the booklet, Who Are the Non-Human Intelligence? Revealing the Final Battle. This is a Sola Scriptura book. And look at it. It's completely illustrated. I mean, this is great. I've worked with a couple of illustrators I've known from Amazing Facts, and they did a fantastic job putting it together. It's about the size of an Amazing Facts study guide or any other study guide, and it really outlines what it is going on. Identifiers straight from the Bible. This is the thing that you hand out to somebody who just they're Christian, but they just don't understand what it is that's going on. And one thing it really goes over is questions about death. I mean, identifiers, knowing, and it leads, it's not just random. It really leads into that. I go from Joe Jordan's testimony about them appearing to why do we need to know about this, down to all this stuff. And people are going right now, how can I get this, Brad? How can I get this? Listen, you can't get it right now because I haven't even gotten one printed yet. I'm working as fast as I can on this thing, but we got to get spell checked. We got to get it T's dotted, I's crossed, and then you can send it off to the printer for $20,000 or whatever it is. If you would like to help me out with that, I don't have any money to get that done, but I really need your help and to produce this thing so that we can tell the world and go to the leaders of the world and do this. So this is my plea to you. Please reach out to me. If you go on strangenormal.org/donate, you can donate there, or there's also a little Word document that shows how to wire if you need, because we need to get this material out, and it does cost a little bit of money to do that. Moving on, this is. I'm going to go back. I'm going to read you some of this stuff later in the broadcast here, but I thought it would be interesting just so you can see what we're doing. We're going to DC, May 17. If you want to be a part of that, please email me. Yes, I got everyone's email. I haven't read Vance. Shocked the world this week because, it's like one thing after the other. Obama gets on a podcast and says aliens are real. The next week, Trump says, oh, yeah, well, he might have backtracked that, but he actually revealed classified information. And so he and then the next week, it's like J.D. Vance is like, oh, yeah, actually, I believe that those are demons. Believe it or not, J.D. Vance has said this in a certain way before. And so we're going to show you exactly where that is right now. It's remarkable. The VP talks about aliens. This is really weird. Let me bring this up here. Let's see if I can get this rolling. I don't have it in here. There it is. All right, listen to this.
Discombobulator. I cannot talk about the discombobulator. That's highly classified, Benny.
It's my job to ask these questions. You gonna release all the UFO files?
We're working on it. It's funny. When I came in, I was obsessed with the UFO files, and then you start getting really busy worrying about the economy and national security and things like that. But I've still got 3 more years as vice president. I will get to the bottom of the UFO files.
Okay. Have you peeked? Have you done a peek?
Have I what?
Have you done a peek? Have you
So I actually haven't. I
the
have
full
not.
Independence Day.
I have. I have not been able to spend enough time on this to really understand it, but I am going to. Trust me, I'm obsessed with this. I've already had a couple of times where I'm like, all right, we're going to Area 51. We're going out to New Mexico. We're going to sort of get to the bottom of this. And then the timing of the trip just didn't work out. But trust me, anybody who's curious about this, I'm more curious than anybody. And I've got 3 years of the very, very tippy top of the classification. I'm going to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, so you haven't been to Area 51 yet?
Not yet.
Some
not
people
yet.
say they keep the UFOs in Ohio. They might,
Hangar 18, Hangar 18, right?
I've
heard that as well, but I don't know. I haven't looked into it yet.
Okay, all right. Well, we're waiting for it. We saw aliens.gov.
You know me.
We saw aliens.gov.
I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons anyway, but that's a longer discussion.
Well, I can't let you go without a follow-up on that.
All right, we're going to pause it right there. A little cliffhanger. That's what he said. He qualified it. He said, oh, by the way, I believe they're demons. Okay. Backtrack this for a second, because there's a lot of people going to say, well, see, demons aren't fallen angels. Listen. Your New International Version, I call it the non-inspired version, says demons. But that word is devils in the New King James, and it means the same thing. Fallen angel is what that means. And if you really dig into this, I'm not going to give you the entire study on it. But what he's saying is that these are the not good beings, and that's why he believes that. Well, we had the UFO community. Why are we talking about UFOs on a Christian channel? Someone's wondering right now. It's because this is the big deception that's coming. This is spiritualism that's going to infect the world. Satan knows that his time is short, and he's going to say, you know what, I can't stand trying to manipulate these people anymore. I'm going to step in, and I'm going to do something about it. That's a real basic summary of what's going to happen. But, and that's all biblical. Go to starfallmovie.com. We're going to show you exactly what's happening here. But we can also, there's also a couple of videos on the channel that kind of iterate that a little bit. But the UFO community went nuts about this because a good majority of them are not Christian. And the reason is, there are a few that have these Christian sections that believe that there are little green men that God created, but I don't. I think everything God created is beautiful, and I don't think that He created scaly little green men to walk around and manipulate your mind. And so they have been wild on the internet about this stuff recently. Oh, I didn't put those in. I should have put those things in. And so what I want to show you real quick before we go back, we're at a minute and 20 seconds. I'm going to come back to this clip. I want to show you a clip from a ufology girl that runs a YouTube channel that gives UFO news. And these are the people that they when you say UFO, you think of the cylindrical Hollywood object. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about these round fireballs in the sky that Christians understand are angelic entities. I mean, the people might say, well, it's a disc, but what you're seeing is a globe. Understand that this is not a cylindrical or a flat plane. What we're seeing are fiery globes in the sky, and people are saying, look at that disc up there. Yeah, you can call the sun a disc too, but Hollywood took that and ran with it and made it into a metal machine and then flipped it on its side, and now you see little cylindricals. Some people see that stuff. Yeah, the devil's good at doing that, but at the same time, what people originally saw was round stars, what they thought were stars that move, that break physics up in the sky. And so this whole thing that's happening right now is baffling. Let me go forward a little bit, see if I can find that. Okay, this is where Christine Gomez is a part of some radio station, or it's called Fade to Black. It's one of those Art Bell type stations that talk about all the weird stuff and conspiracy theories. And she became very popular very fast. Part of that was because she did short videos about every single topic that came out. And the other part is just because it's easier to talk about UFOs without trying to combine it and understand it that it's spiritualism. Because Christians will push that away and not watch it. And ufology will grab hold of it and say, this is my topic. I'm going to watch everything in this, and the algorithm works that way. So but let me show you a clip from what she says real quick.
Vance is framing UAP as a spiritual phenomenon, specifically through a Christian lens. Look, he has every right to do that, but it is a framework that arrives with a pre-existing answer, and that matters when the same person has been committed to investigating classified government files on the subject. The framing also flattens something within the UAP research community that has been documented for years. Abductees and contactees describe fundamentally different experiences, one marked by fear and trauma, the other a sense of connection and purpose.
You see what's happening here? This is blowing my mind. This is really wild, because you're beginning to see the very beginning of what I thought was going to happen. This whole thing is separating into the good guys versus the bad guys. Oh, the good guys are, I mean, yeah, there's some bad aspects of ufology. They come and torment you, and they do terrible things to you. There haven't been some deaths associated with this stuff, but they're the good guys that have just contacted, and you can reach them by meditation and Eastern transcendental meditation. How is that the good guys? From Christian perspective, meditation, that form of meditation, should have nothing to do with holy angels. It's all fallen angel ideas, and reaching out to this in the form of a Gnostic prayer is basically what that transcendental meditation stuff is. And so listen to what she says, the rest of what she says here.
Those are not two of the same phenomenon described differently. They may be entirely different phenomena. Labeling all of it as demonic closes off that distinction between where an investigation begins and where this level of bias begins. And if we're going to address what is harmful in this space, the most documented source of harm has not come from the sky. It's come from within institutions, from deliberate choices to deceive, intimidate, and silence. And that requires no interdimensional explanation, just power, secrecy, and the decision to misuse both.
All right, so what does she say there? In flowery words and poetic language, she said that the real struggle with this whole stuff has been the human entities that have tried to try to prevent people from knowing more about this, what we know as spiritualism on Earth. Well, who are those entities? Who are those officials that do that? Primarily who she's talking about is the Collins elite, those people that believe that this is a spiritual problem. But they're not going to say Christianity out loud yet because most of the world is Christian. They're going to wait until it's more out there that there's something benevolent, or it's seemingly benevolent, that is reaching out. And then they're going to point to the Christians and say, you guys have been the problem. They are trying to help us. That's what's happening here. We're seeing the beginning of that right now. And so Christina is really picking on those people, whether she knows it or not. I don't know if she even realizes this yet. Anyone who studies this should be able to pick this up. And it blows my mind. You know what? I'm going to do that real quick. I'm going to pick up those images that I meant to put in this program, and I didn't, because I took screenshots from so many comments. Let me see if I can plop those in here real quick. I just went, because as soon as this comes in, go back to my real quick. I might cut this part out, or I'll just leave it in as something neat. I don't know if that's them. All right, just a second, guys. We're going to make this happen tonight. We are at, I can't tell where we're at. I'm going to arrange these by date. I'm looking through all my screenshots right now, and I'm going to grab the ones I took from all, I don't know if you guys have seen all the stuff that's going on, but since JD Vance came out, people are just beside themselves. Like, I don't know if you've seen that meme on the internet where that all those kids are standing around this one guy, and he does something clever, and everyone's like, oh, that's kind of how it feels right now, because the JD Vance has just dropped this bombshell on the United States, and it really makes me think, if this kind of thing is so far pushed out there to make people think, hey, this is a demonic, you guys should have nothing to do with this. What is on the coming edge right now? Because I'm sure if this is a fight between good and evil, which I know it is, then we're going to see the other side react to this pretty soon. That's what I'm concerned about. And we are hitting that point in time where people are screaming nuclear weapons. People are, it's Easter time. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. We're just watching this all play out. Hopefully everyone's going to be nice here. But I'm pulling these screenshots in as best I can. I probably have too many of these things. I don't need to have all of these things. Let's just see what I got real quick. I'm reviewing it over here. I'm not reading them. And oh yeah, this will be interesting because I haven't read these ahead of time. Oh yeah, there's lots of them. Okay, so let me bring these up here. Some of them are really, really good. Some of them are not. This person, these are all public comments, so it's really easy to put these out there and talk about them because they're all making public comments on this stuff. I don't have to worry about revealing anybody's private information. But this person says, John 4:8-48. Then Jesus said unto him, unless you people see signs and wonders, you will by no means believe. She was responding because all these people are saying, absolutely, hey, this is not spiritualism, it's aliens. Well, she's saying, look, you guys aren't going to believe until you see all this stuff and how it is, and you're going to be deceived by it. That's what she's saying. This person says, when people use the name of Jesus, aliens flee, just as demons. And so some people really get this, and they understand. This is what I've been trying to push out, and there's a couple ideas that I want to convey here for a second. Some of the legitimate reasons why this is absolutely a demonic thing. Where are my notes? There they are. For instance, J.D. Vance doesn't need to look into a single classified file to figure this out, as some assume. Because he said, well, he didn't look into these files yet. Well, he doesn't have to. It's all out there on the internet if you look for it. Move on and back to fallen angels. Or what about Chris Bledsoe's The Woman, who calls herself an Egyptian goddess, Hathor? The Bible clearly says that Egyptian goddesses are Hathor, if you look back in history, are fallen angels. These are demonic entities. Or easy to see how you came to the conclusion that I mean, it's not easy to see. According to MUFON reports, the primary visible UFO sighting is a glowing orb disk, which the Bible calls stars of the heavens, and it has a third of these were swept out according to Revelation, right? So these appearances of stars are the fallen angels. They can't appear as many things, for it says in the Bible that Satan can make himself appear as a being of light. So also, Joe Jordan, if you go to his information, he has a book called Red Flags of Ufology, and it says that the common theme among experiencers is that they try to discredit Christianity. That's the thing that comes to them, tries to say, oh no, Jesus, that thing, he's just another ascended master. It's okay. And they never try to discredit any other religion. It's always Christianity what they're trying to discredit. And if you go into even non-Christian book writers on this topic, Jacques Vallée is a very prolific. He's probably considered one of the most well-known writers on this topic, and he says that these things are tricksters. They're manipulative. He wrote a whole book about it and how he has seen these experiences and studied them, and they seem to just be playing practical jokes on people. And so it's real easy to see where J.D. Vance gets this idea from. By the way, let's go back to J.D. Vance. We'll go back to these comments in a second because we got some negative ones I really want to touch on real quick, but we've seen those two. Let's go back to this one real quick. I'm going to go forward about a minute 20 and start where we left off. Here we go.
Discussion.
Well, I can't let you go without a follow-up on that, because Barack Obama is on this podcast and he goes, yeah, aliens are real, but like, here's where they're not. And, you know,
I did not.
And so Obama says, yes, aliens are, he gets asked point blank, are aliens real? Says, oh, yeah. And then he goes, but they're not at Area 51. And
well, where are they, bro?
Well, that's what he says. Okay. Right. That's a great question. Trump had to go save him, and he said he's going to declassify. Okay. So you think they're demons?
Well, look, I think that celestial beings who fly around, who do weird things to people, I think that the desire to describe everything celestial, everything is otherworldly, to describe it as aliens. I mean, every great world religion, including Christianity, the one that I believe in, has understood that there are weird things out there, and there are things that are very difficult to explain. And I naturally go, when I hear about sort of extra natural phenomenon, that's where I go to, is the Christian understanding that, you know, there's a lot of good out there, but there's also some evil out there. And I think that one of the devil's great tricks is to convince people he never existed.
Yes. Okay. I've been given the wrap, but here we go. I can't let you go without one final question. The last question.
All right.
I'm not going to ask you about running in 2028.
See, he completely stopped talking about it. I'm amazed by that. Someone talks about aliens and you switch topics. Hey, I would like to know, why do you think that, J.D. Vance? I already know why you think that. But if I was I don't care what I think about it. I want to know why he thinks that and what his philosophy is on it. I think that's be the more interesting story. But they want to talk about his election. Now, J.D. Vance, I've been told is very keen on the whole 2025 idea of pushing this agenda of Christianity forward, and I'm concerned about that. But I would really like to think that we made a difference in helping him understand that this whole thing is a demonic entity. This whole thing is demonic presence. Everyone that's talking about this in Christendom has kind of found that this whole thing pushes on the New Age, which is definitely not a Christian method of doing things. So, J.D. Vance, I'm going to be in D.C. in mid-May. I would like to talk to you. There's a fat chance. But if you are watching this, I would like to talk a little bit more about you, even privately, about this. I think it's a fascinating thing, and I think I have some insights that you might not have seen yet, because you have the classified information, but you haven't studied the background of it. It's very fascinating stuff. So that's J.D. Vance talking about this. Let's see. Why do I have a second clip of him in here? I think it's a duplicate. Yeah, it's a duplicate. All right. So this next one is if we finish that one. He's talked about this in the past. I want you, now that you know what his mindset is on this, look back in the past at his other interviews talking about UAP and this whole thing coming out, the spiritualism, and see what he says. You kind of grasp that he has said it before. Listen.
I wouldn't say that I do or don't believe it. I mean, I'm a big believer, that there are things out there that we can't explain. And so if another person sees an alien, maybe I see an angel or a demon. So I'm a big believer that there are like spiritual forces working on the physical world that a lot of us don't see and a lot of us don't understand and a lot of us don't appreciate. But, is it aliens or is it our guardian angel, or is it aliens or is it a not so guardian force that doesn't care about us or in fact actively wishes us harm? I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, so he doesn't know the answer to that back then, but he kind of studied it from a Christian worldview, and he came to that conclusion already. So this makes sense that this whole thing has to separate into two categories. The negative aspects of it have to go away. Satan's kingdom is divided. That's what Jesus said. So how can he stand? Well, he's going to have to show that the kingdom, Satan's kingdom, is based on do what thou wilt. So he's going to have a bunch of minions running around doing their own thing, and he's going to have a core group of people that are really, truly people and fallen angels too, that are going to try to push this forward as much as they can. And so he's going to have to divide it up into the tricksters and the people that aren't, or the angels that aren't listening to him, and the core group of people, I keep saying people, entities, these things that are pushing the agenda to try to prevent people from getting back home. That's where we all want to be. We want to be back in the original place, the original state, back in Eden. We want to go to heaven and have the earth made new. That's the goal here. But he's going to try to prevent that because we're stepping right in there. So that is them saying that. Let me see what I got next. I think we're out of order. I'm going to play this next clip because he talks a little bit more about it in this clip for 30 seconds.
I wouldn't say that I do or don't believe it. I mean, I'm a big believer that there are things out there that we can't explain. And so if another person sees an alien, maybe I see an angel.
All right. I think we already showed that. I think that was a duplicate. I don't know. I think actually I played Gomez's clips of it instead. But let's listen to what she says about this real quick, because I got some commentary. She lit a fire into me when I watched this.
Vance is framing UAP as a spiritual phenomenon, specifically through a Christian lens. Look, he has every right.
We already watched that. Why is this duplicated tonight? Okay.
Arthur C. Clarke's 1953 novel Childhood's End, later adapted to movies, which I highly recommend, presents a scenario where beings arrive on Earth that appear visually demonic.
Okay. Did you see what she said? It appears visually demonic. So this is what she and most of the Christian or non-Christian world believes is what Christians believe is visually demonic. And so they're expecting that this is what Christianity thinks we're thinking this is. Did that make sense? I know that's a word salad, but what we think this is not a red guy with bat wings and a pointy tail. The devil can appear as anything he wants. He's a fallen angel. He and his minions can do and appear that way. It seems as if they appear in their default form as these stars of the heavens, and they can project or morph or somehow appear as these things. Very, very odd. But that's what the Bible indicates, that these stars of the heavens are those entities. And they can appear as different things. They can morph. They can transform somehow. But this is what she believes the demonic entity is. Watch this.
The wings, the horns, the complete package. And yet their purpose in the story isn't hostile at all. Clarke's premise was that the human mind had encoded something about these beings into religious mythology centuries before the actual contact took place, and that the beings were evil. They simply matched an image humans had already assigned as evil. Now, I'm not saying that's the conclusion here, but as a reminder that the framework we use to interpret something shapes what we decide it is before we even see the full picture.
Oh, irony. Oh my goodness. So in other words, what she's saying is Christianity has shaped, this has shaped what Christianity believes. No, it's actually shaped what atheism believes that Christianity thinks is demonic. But we don't think this is demonic. If you really study the Bible, this is not what demons look like. This is what Hollywood portrays demons to look like, which is what has caused so many people to think, well, I don't want to have anything to do with God because this whole thing's a fairy tale. It's not a fairy tale. We're going to really deal with some beautiful beings that present themselves this way. This is really interesting, what's happening here. Let's hear what else she says about this.
Do you think Vance's position, formed from faith before evidence, would shift the same way Burleson's skepticism shifted once he engaged with testimony and physical sights? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.
I have trouble listening to her because I know she's reading a script, and she has over 100,000 subscribers and reading a script. It drives me nuts. How can she have this much influence on what people believe about spirituality and just read a script? I'm going to start reading a script every day and present stuff to you guys. Maybe I'll grow too. But what did she say here? She said that, do you think J.D. Vance is going to actually change? Do you think he's going to, once he sees the evidence that he has in his classified files that she says that has been leaked and that she knows as well, she presents on her channel? Well, I don't know. I don't think so, because he has a worldview that is much stronger than the evidence. At least that's what I believe. The problem is that the devil has a plan for those people, and he's going to present that there are good and there are bad. And those good ones, this is what the Great Controversy says. This is fascinating. The good ones are going to present themselves as friends from heaven. We occupy a position in heaven, and there's no need to worry about good or bad. We're all going to make it. That's what is going to be presented by demonic entities. We're all going to make it, and we are the good ones coming to help you. I mean, after all, if the Antichrist is going to appear, he has to fight off an Antichrist in order to be God, because that's the whole purpose of him appearing as God, is to present himself as God. So I just wonder, I don't know, there's no evidence behind this, but I wonder if this whole there's good ones and there's bad ones is going to be something that is going to be a theater of destruction. We got to get rid of the bad ones, and then there's peace and safety. I don't know. Don't call me a heretic, but I'm putting these pieces together, and I'm seeing what the Bible says about this, what has been said in our church writings, and I'm wondering. I'm just wondering. Okay, so let's dig into this further a little bit. That is the clip from J.D. Vance, is the full thing. We don't need to watch the full thing. I think we kind of watched it already.
One last question about UFOs. So I'm a mad UFO lunatic
Me
as
too.
well.
Yeah.
So, and you said, I think the Ruthless podcast, that you were going to, in August, you were going to figure out what happened. So have you
That
managed?
was a little tongue in cheek. I have not figured it out yet.
Right.
I haven't had the time to figure it out yet.
But you've got access to all this.
I do.
Classified.
And I really want to sort of dig into it. Marco's actually very interested in this too. We talked about this talked about this back in our Senate days. So there's certainly an interest there. There's certainly an intrigue, but I haven't yet had the time to really dig in. Things have been so busy, but this is the crazy person inside of me. And there's, all of us put the tinfoil hat on from time to time. I was like, I can't allow myself to become so busy.
All right. So you've seen this clip before, but I thought I'd play portion of it. I gotta say, even though I think we have different religious beliefs, J.D. Vance, but he seems like a neat guy, and so I'd like to meet him someday, more than I would like to meet President Trump, honestly. But anyway, let's go back to Bill Maher real quick. I think it's Anna Paulina Luna talks on Bill Maher about this, and why are we thinking about Anna Paulina Luna? Because she's the senator that is digging into this with Tim Burchett, the senator from Tennessee, and they're really pushing hard, along with a couple other, I think Mike Rounds and some others that I'm hoping to meet on Capitol Hill. And I'll try to get some video of that when I'm up there. By the way, I don't think I actually mentioned this. I think I alluded to it in the beginning. What was I wrong about? This is the whole reason for that thumbnail that you saw. Why? What is going on here? Well, this is what's going on. This whole thing, this whole UFO thing happens during a time period that is within the bowls of Revelation 16. And if you study Bible prophecy, you know that the bowls are actually the plagues. And the plagues don't fall on the good, they fall on the bad. And so, why is that important? Well, it's because intercession has ceased during this time period. You know the big elephant in the room right now. You're going to wonder, well, what is the point of talking about spiritualism if it happens during a time when intercession has ceased? Everyone's fate is decided. And how do we know that intercession has ceased? Well, it is in the time of Noah, there will be a time when the ark door closes. But more than that, we actually have a Bible verse that says that. Let me bring you over here real quick. I think we can prop up some Bible verses real quick. Let me see if I can make this thing bigger so you guys can see it too. Maybe not. Okay. Switch this thing over to so you can read it. Revelation 17. Oops, I put 17 instead of 16. Let me go back one. So this is the 7 bowls. These are the what's called the, which one was that? Plagues. Where's my, there, see it says, who had power over these plagues. So all these bowls are the plagues that happen. And what are they? Well, let's look over them. First bowl is the loathsome sores. Something happens, the boils in the body. And you recognize that these are kind of connect to the plagues of Egypt, right? So it's very similar. The next one is the sea turning to blood. Then it's the waters turning blood. So you got sores, a progressive blood into the waters from the sea to the rivers, I guess. Rivers and springs of water. And then after the blood, you see men are scorched by the sun. So something happens, I assume, with the sun, and it becomes very bright. It scorches a part of the earth, and then it goes very dark. That's the 5th bowl. Everything goes dark. It's almost like it burnt out. And then you have the Euphrates drying up. And are these symbolic or are they not? I haven't dug too far into it, and I'm not going to right now. But we do know that these 3 frogs are symbolic. There's not actual frogs going out there. But during this 6th bowl, this is the second to last plague. This is, you see that these spirits, and it says it explicitly here, for they are spirits of demons that go out to the kings of the world and to the whole world to ready them for the battle of the great day of God Almighty. Behold, I am coming as a thief. And they gathered them all together in a place called, in the Hebrew, called Armageddon. And so then the 7th bowl is, hey, God says it is done. It's over. And there was a giant earthquake. And he comes in the clouds. And so this is a big deal. Plagues of hail and everything, big things happen. And so this is what's happening right now. And not here, not now, but this is what's happening in this section of Revelation 16 that we pull all this from. So why is it a big deal? Why are we going over this whole thing? Well, because spiritualism, just like the close of probation, is a progressive event. For instance, let's go to the time of trouble. Oh, now I made it bigger, so now it's going to lose my spot. Let's see if I can go up here. Let me see. Yeah, that's a problem. What did I have there? I don't even see where it was now. I don't even have it in there. That's unfortunate. We'll come back to that section of commentary. Revelation 22 says, "He who is unjust, let him be unjust still. He who is filthy, let him be filthy still. He who is righteous, let him be righteous still. He who is holy, let him be holy still." So what happens here? Well, it happens that this is the close of probation. When Christ, as our intercessor, steps away from the sanctuary, we have a mock sanctuary back in the Bible days, but the real one that's in heaven, when he steps away and says, okay, I'm going to come back to the earth now, and he's going to step out of that sanctuary and say, look, I'm not interceding anymore. I'm coming to get them. And it's going to be very, very short. I wish I had a quote to actually show you that. I'll have to just bring it up here. Let me see. It is The short is when the work of investigation judgment closes, the destiny of all will have been decided, life or death. Probation is ended a short time before the appearing of the Lord in clouds. He's not going to allow us to sit down here and be tempted by the devil even after probation closes, even after our fate is decided. He's not going to allow us to be browbeat by this thing. And he's going to be like, probation closes? All right, let's go get them. What, silence is about a half hour in heaven? How long is it going to be on earth? I don't know, but surely it's going to be quick. I mean, it says it right there. So this whole thing that happens is going to be very fast. All these plagues, boom, 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 boom. And the culmination of all this building up to the spiritualism happens during the sixth plague. Everything else that's going on has been happening already. How do we know that? How do we know that spiritualism grows until probation closes? Until, I hate to say probation closes because it's such a cliche word in my church, but until the what's the right terminology? Until the unjust, let him be unjust still, and let the just be just still, until the ark closes the door. How long? How long will it be? Well, it's going to be building up until then. And this is why I say close probation is progressive. When you have all these terrible things happening on earth, that's a build up also. You're going to have major things that happen after the close of probation, but you're also going to have a buildup of terrible events that happen until then as well, because Matthew 24 says that. So when things close, it's going to start with the church. Judgment begins with the house of the Lord. That's what the Bible says. And so when you start with the church, you're going to go down and what is the verse or quote that says, I wish that you knew the time of your visitation. You're going to go through a period of time. The universe is looking through your case. I mean, it's solemn to think about this, but looking through your case and going, okay, yeah, this guy, he didn't keep the relationship with God. He wasn't saved. Or this guy knew Christ very well and he was saved. During that time period, your case is either decided or it's not decided. And so it's a progressive event of things that go through and tell the final, hey, we're done. We're closing the books and we're coming to get them. And then it's done. That's the progression. During this time period, when there's a bunch of people, a bunch of dangerous things happening on earth, your fate could be decided by one of those disasters. So you want to make sure that as time progresses, that it's closing for a lot of people as well. But there's a time when probation is closed. We're done. Absolutely, completely done. And Christ comes to get them. During this time period, spiritualism is rallying the troops. How do we know that? Well, let's look at some of these. I'm just going to pull up my notes so you can see this yourself, because I'm tired of trying to hunt for some tabs that I lost here. These are the bowls right here. What happens before this is that when Christ ceases his intercession in the sanctuary, the unmingled wrath threatens against those who worship the beast and his image receive the mark. Will be poured out. The plagues upon Egypt, when God was about to deliver Israel, were similar in character to the most terrible extensive judgments which are to fall upon the world just before the final deliverance of the people. So when the high priest steps out into interceding for the people's sins cannot be forgiven any longer. This is what's called the close of probation. Revelation 22 says, he that is unjust, let him be unjust still, yada, yada, yada. We already went over that. And this is why we know that these bowls are the plagues, because verse 9 says that these bowls are plagues. And scroll down a little bit further, it says that why is this a big deal? Well, it says that this spiritualism has to come first. It says, through two great errors. This is Great Controversy 588. The mortality of the soul and immortality of the soul and the Sunday sacredness, Satan brains in the people under his deceptions. While the former lays the foundations for spiritualism, the latter creates a bond of sympathy with Rome. These Protestants of the United States will be foremost in stretching their hand across the gulf and grasping the hands of spiritualism. So wait a second. Think about this for a second. Probation's not closed yet, but Protestants and the Catholic Church are grasping the hands, something physical with spiritualism. So this is a progression. That means that this stuff has to be revealed in person before the close of probation. That's why this is important. And that was my mistake. I tied this to Revelation 16 as the main hook on why we should be talking about this. But that's just the culmination of it at the very end. We should be talking about this because this stuff happens a lot sooner than we first expected. We have even more of an urgency on this channel to push this message out because this isn't just Revelation 16. This is all throughout the Bible. This is 1 Thessalonians. This is everything. Let's dig further real quick. When the work of an investigative judgment closes, there will be but a short time. Probation is ended in a short time. We already went over that verse. So let me just get the highlights here because I just wrote a whole bunch of stuff about it as I was thinking about it. But behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all sleep. We shall be all changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible. And that's kind of what the whole point of my the front of my channel. If you go to Strange Normal, I say, look, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep. Because death is but a sleep, but the wages of sin is death. But some won't ever get to that point. They'll be changed in a blink of an eye. I want to be a part of that, don't you? So that's the reason why I'm talking about this tonight, because I think it's very, very important that we consider all this stuff that is happening right now. I love people are pulling the 2 weeks, 1 hour equals 30 days. Yeah, I haven't done the calculation. So are we going to be here 30 days? I guess that would be considered a short time, wouldn't it? I don't know. 30 minutes or 30 days? I don't remember what it was. But if it's 30 days, I apologize for saying 30 minutes. But half hour is 1 week. Half hour is approximately 1 week. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't done the calculation on that. Maybe someone in the comments, if you're curious about all those time calculations, we're not going to go over that tonight. But I do think it's interesting that we're going to, there is going to be a section of time where the righteous are known. I think the righteous are going to be lit up like these angelic entities. We're going to have the moment where people are going to realize who were the chosen ones, not the chosen ones as if we have been somehow elected, but chosen as in we chose to participate in the righteousness of God by following him. Not that it's anything of ourselves, but that when you choose God, he helps you through and walks you through all this stuff. This is not some weird predestination stuff. Come on now. All right, let's get back into it. So let's look at this this next clip here. I thought it'd be good to go over what Anna Paulina Luna has currently started talking about.
First question is for you. Do you think we are headed, Congresswoman, for a full disclosure and transparency about UAPs, which we used to call UFOs? I do. I mean, I think it was just this week. Didn't they start a website for releasing this information?
From my understanding, they're going to put it on the National Archives, but if they've booked the website. So I actually head up the disclosure task force in Congress on declassification of federal secrets. And what I will tell you is
that's why you know so much stuff.
I'm a nerd. In all seriousness, there's some things that we can't explain. And there is a problem with overclassification, but also when you have duly elected members of Congress being denied access, that's a problem because we're supposed to be the check and balance on some of these agencies. And so you'll see some interesting stuff. The federal government will never come out and tell you what to believe.
All right, so obviously that's just an introduction to what she's saying. Hey, look, something's happening here. And the reason why we're going over this is because I think that it's interesting what the senators are allowed to say about this right now as they're finding more information and how the spiritualism is going to progress out to the possibility, we know it's going to happen, of these things appearing as physical beings. And saying, we've been watching you all this time, and you guys are doing terrible things, and your government is corrupt. We are here, and we got to tell you how to fix this. And this is what she says next.
Well, there were reports of sightings and whatnot dating back into even, for many, 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 many centuries.
If you're talking about some of the stuff like what we see in hieroglyphics and drawings,
I think
it could be, yes, it could be like they built the pyramids. That's true.
Well, I think that there's a lot of theories, but based on what we're seeing evidence-wise, there is one specific agency where multiple members of Congress, to include myself, received a briefing from. All of that information will be declassified, and the stuff that we saw in that briefing we can't explain.
Okay. So what she's saying here is something's happening right now in the government, and we assumed so. 2026, 2027 would be a major a push for this spiritualism to come out, right? So this is interesting that this is happening way before any close of probation or anything. Now, yes, I know 2027 people say that this is going to be a big deal, and that there could be some timing in here. I don't know if I subscribe to that, but I'm going to be ready always. Capiche? Yeah, I think that's important. But I think it's fascinating what's happening right now. All right, this is what's said next.
What we've seen in the briefings, and I actually asked this question to Secretary Clinton, as she was actually going to, had she won her election, be in charge of disclosure and actually releasing some of this information. And she thinks that the American people, I think this is one of the most bipartisan things in Congress currently, and bicameral in the Senate as well. But we should be able to release the information that we have specifically pertaining to this and let the American people decide what it is. Look, some of it is balloons, some of it is drones. And then there's a portion of it that we can't explain where you have credible people from all walks of life confirming it. And I will tell you, based on the evidence that we have seen, there's something there.
And credible people, not just in the military, but in government, including Democrats.
I was struck by what President Obama said, and I agree with it. The vastness of the universe is such that the arithmetic makes it pretty likely.
Right.
And the vastness of the universe is such, it's pretty unlikely that we're going to cross paths. And I think that's also true. I mean, it seems to, I'm a skeptic, but I like what you're doing, Congresswoman. I think put it all out, let people decide. I'm a skeptic. Maybe you can do.
Well, Bill, I think this gets into deeper, if you have time, listen to the Joe Rogan podcast I did, but this gets into a deeper discussion on where you are at spiritually. And I think there's just a lot that we have and can't explain. But look, my biggest concern and why I got involved is because I had the Department of Defense at the time tell me that we were not allowed access, and I have the highest clearance possible. So if you have a duly membered elected member of government, not just myself, but other members being denied access, you have this aspect of then who's really in control. If we're writing the checks, if you have the Pentagon failing audits, denying access, this is a problem. And so there is this aspect of government transparency going back to how do we actually fix this country, and you have to start with transparency.
Okay. What do you make?
All right, we're going to stop there. Obviously, you can see what's happening here. They're going to come to a point where the United States is so broken. We got to fix it. We got to redo the Constitution or whatever it is. You're going to try to rewire this thing so it is better, and they're going to break it all because this was set up very good. The problem is that we've had the love of money that has gotten in here and has corrupted individuals that are making a lot of money out of being part of the government. And so, and that's stocks, and that's insider information and all that, or even just people coming to you and saying, "I'll give you an XYZ gift if you vote this way on that thing," and that's what happens. You have some corruption that really comes in. Not only that corruption, but you also have the whole idea of the Epstein files. We're not going to get into that tonight, but where somebody, a foreign actor or contractor for a foreign actor, comes in and says, we caught you doing something, now vote this way. Thank you. I think we still have some stand-up people, though. I went ahead and pulled the clip of Hillary Clinton talking about this because during her deposition, because she's been pulled in about the Epstein stuff, she talks about the UFO stuff. They ask her a bunch of questions just because, hey, we got her under oath. Let's talk to her about it. And they just mentioned this here, so I thought it'd be good to air that clip real quick.
Okay, and on the topic of transparency, Secretary, were you ever denied access, or did you ever inquire on the topic of UAP or Gilgamesh in your official or personal capacity, and why?
I was never denied access because I never asked for access.
Okay. In the efforts of having a transparent government and restoring faith within our country, do you believe that the American people deserve access to those topics?
I do. Subject to any national security implications, I think the information should be made available. I think that's been ordered, or at least I read that it had been ordered.
While I have you here, I just have to ask. So when your husband was president, it was Lawrence Rockefeller had an effort to try to disclose UFOs, UAPs. When you were running for president, John Podesta publicly stated that you would disclose these files if given the chance, if you had been president. Are you pleased to see that these files may be disclosed finally?
I am pleased. As I say, I think they have to be carefully scrutinized so that no national security information is disclosed. But this is an issue of real importance to so many people, and I think whatever can be disclosed should be disclosed.
Was there a program that specifically that was referencing that you were aware of?
I was not. As you mentioned, John Podesta, who was one of my advisors, was deeply interested in the issue, and if I had been elected, I certainly would have listened to his advice.
Well, thank you for indulgence on that.
This is sort of like off subject, but didn't you all require in the latest defense authorization that the UFO information has to be?
Out.
What?
They ripped it out. They killed it.
Oh, I thought that had gone through.
That was my amendment, and it got ripped out.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that, so thank you for enlightening me. Okay.
Yeah, they've been killing it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. But essentially, Hillary probably knows what's going on here, but she doesn't have to say anything about it, so she's not gonna. She referred it to Podesta, and this is the whole Podesta email hack. That's how all that stuff came out. Is with Tom DeLonge and all that stuff. So she's referencing that a little bit. But you're right. She knows, and she's being a politician about this stuff. And I think it's fascinating what's going on right now. She was probably supposed to be the one that was, if elected, pushing this agenda. But things happened, and we went to World War III instead. I thought we'd go a little further and talk a little bit about that. This is Senator Mike Rounds, and he was asked those similar questions and to voice his opinion about it. And again, this is all mainstream stuff. I'm not going to go into the lore and the weird stuff unless I really have to. What I really want to see is how this stuff is progressing and how it connects to the Bible and spirit of prophecy. This is what's happening right now. Let's watch this.
On the other hand, there are some items out there that after vetting, either they're telling us a heck of a story or they truly don't know what it is. But it is phenomenal in terms of its capabilities, in terms of speed. Some of these objects, the speed at which it moves, the easy way in which it can change directions, the fact that it can be in both underwater and in the air, and it can apparently move to very, very high altitudes as well in a very short period of time. And these folks that are giving this information and with the technologies that we've got today, they're not making this stuff up. There's something there. We just don't know what it is.
I was going to say, from the sources the way you're describing these sources, it sounds like, they have your trust, and that what they're telling you is at least truth to them. For what they've seen. Yeah,
and there's no reason for them to come in to try to tell us stories. These are folks that are very, very capable. They are brilliant individuals. They fear sometimes that if their whole story got out, they'd lose their jobs. They don't want that to happen, so they'll come in and they'll visit with us in a classified setting with just one or two or three of us there. And our agreement is we will not disclose, and we won't let it get back to either the contractor that they work for or to the department that they work for.
So things are happening right now. Very, very interesting. Mike Rounds says that he believes that something is out there. What is it? Well, he says it could be a number of things. But he's going to reintroduce a bill that is going to show us exactly what it is, and I believe that we're going to find out it's something that's going to bring something upon the world we've never seen before. This is what he says he's going to do.
You anticipate that you are going to re-release the UAP Disclosure Act. This is another bill that you're going to introduce. This is something that we talk about bipartisan. Previously you had introduced this bill with Senator Chuck Schumer.
Yeah.
I'm curious what kind of support you think you're going to get for this go-around, and on top of that, if you could just kind of highlight some of the key disclosure takeaways from this and what this act would actually mean for getting some of this UAP information out.
Sure. Look, UAPs are items that we don't know what they are, or we haven't been able to identify what they are. There's a pretty strong agreement, I think, among most people that have studied this, that a lot of the sightings of items, what used to be UFOs, were probably U.S. aircraft that were being developed for the stealth programs, the F-117, the F-22, the SR-71, and so forth. But there are a number of other sightings, not just visible sightings, but also radar, catches over the last 20 years that we just can't explain. We've seen objects that move, more rapidly than any of the technologies that we've ever disclosed that we have. And I've talked personally to individuals in classified settings about items, and these are people that work for some of our national contractors who just simply say, this is what I saw. I don't want to talk about it publicly, but this is what I saw and I can't explain it. We don't know if that means that this is something that another country has that we need to be really concerned about, such as China or Russia, or if this is something that it just simply is unknown and we just don't know what it is. And that's when the folks that sometimes are identified as being conspiracy theorists will say, well, we know it's coming from another planet and so forth. I can't say that because I don't know what it is. But what I do know is that unless we get the individuals that have observed firsthand these phenomena, if they're afraid to come forward and to share it, and if that information doesn't get to the right decision makers, then we might very well have a risk out there that we haven't prepared for. That's the reason why I want full disclosure, but I want the disclosure to come in and then be looked at for national security purposes to determine what we should be able to release and what, because of developments we're doing, we can't release. I want it to be done in an organized fashion. I want responsible people to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So that was Mike Rounds, Senator Mike Rounds, saying what he believes is going on and what he's planning to do. Always a politician. The next couple of things I have from Luna, she's been quite a bit talking about this stuff on here, and we've kind of already heard about what she said. So I'm going to skip that. You can go back and watch it if you want. This is from Jillian Michaels. I forget her name, but she's her own podcast. She basically says something very similar. I'll play just a short clip of it.
This has been going on now for decades, arguably kicked up to a greater degree after we dropped the bomb on Japan. But then there's evidence, and I've listened to all your brilliant interviews. Obviously, the most notable would be with Joe Rogan, where you got him to read the Book of Enoch out of the Bible, and I even downloaded a whole video that I've yet to watch on this. Okay, but so it would be biblical, these UAPs going back thousands of years. Trump says he's going to declassify.
All right, so she just goes in the same stuff. Number one, I want to point out the Book of Enoch is not biblical. It wasn't taken out. It's in one of the Ethiopian contexts, but it doesn't mean that we've taken something out of the Bible. No, it's all Gnostic. It's saying that even Enoch is like the savior and stuff in the Bible, in that book, and it wasn't even written by Enoch himself. So it can't be verified. It's not validated by the Bible, and even though it's mentioned in the Bible, it just means it's there. It doesn't mean it's authoritative. So I wouldn't put any weight on that at all. And when she calling it biblical only adds weight to people saying, look, you can figure out what these things are, and they're Nephilim of some kind of weird sexual fetish that angels supposedly had. And that's not true either. Boy, this whole topic gets really wild if you really get into it. But I'm going to stay focused on the truth here. Let's dig into a couple things here. Even though this is a Catholic guy, he's interesting to listen to every once in a while, but he's off base, obviously. But he said something here that I appreciated. I'm going to play it here.
I'm now convinced we actually don't really know what these things are. So my next guess was that it was China. First guess was that it was us. I don't think that's true anymore. Second guess that it was China. It might be China. I think there's some evidence that it could just be China. That's pretty bad, because my third guess is that it's demons. At no point on my guessing do I think that there are actually little green men from the planet Zebulon 5 who have weird little green-gray flesh that come and visit Earth and stick things into people's orifices. I don't think that's real. But it's not aliens. Aliens are not real. Look at me. Look at me. This is going to be the most controversial thing. I should rename this show Unpopular Takes with Michael Knowles. Unpopular Takes that are going to get everybody to hate you, but which are indisputably correct with Michael Knowles. That's going to be the new name of my show. Because look at me, Matt, and the rest of you. Aliens are not real. It's either skunkworks, China, or demons. Those are your three options. But it's not aliens. You know why it's not aliens? It's not aliens. We can say it's not aliens because, we can say this with confidence, because we have no evidence that there is life anywhere else in the universe.
All right, let me pause right there for a second. Okay, so check this out. Michael Knowles is one of the last remaining people that is still with the Daily Wire. Everyone seems to be leaving them. But I think Michael Knowles, he has a good point. I agree that, yeah, those three things could be what it is. I believe it's demonic just because it ties so well into the New Age movement. But if you look at this very carefully, I don't know why Christians that don't have this understanding that it's demonic are not automatically pulling up and saying, well, maybe it's good. I think it would be easily refuted if people would say that, but nobody is saying that. No one's saying, well, maybe it's our guardian angels. There's a couple people in the comments that are saying that. I can pull those up real quick. Let's just go through that real quick. We're at a minute 23 with him. I'm going to go down through these. Has a single one of the Christians read the Bible, multiple scriptures that mention that we are closest living to entity to God's image? This is what they said, meaning that there are others out there. Not all angels are good. Not all demons are bad. What? But in reality, both are merely titles for the same thing. Extraterrestrial beings. This is what people are thinking out there. I thought obviously this is not truth that I'm pushing out tonight, but I think it's interesting that this is what the general consensus, because without going out on the street, you don't know what people are thinking. So you read these comments and you're going, oh man, there's so much confusing out there regarding this right now. Not all angels are good. Not all demons are bad. Okay, number one, they're all angels. But you're going to see that there are good angels and bad angels out there. And then there's the people that think that what they're still seeing is the Hollywood caricature of flying saucers. And so they're like, well, why do demons need traveling spacecraft? They don't. What you're actually seeing is the physical entity of them. Same thing. Why does God need a spaceship? There is an easy test. This is what Terrence says. There is an easy test to invoke the name of Jesus. The reaction is confusion. You know it's not a demon. The reaction is confusion. You know it's not a demon. I don't see why the only three possible options for some is demonic, angelic, or human. The universal is big enough for more, and God has no limits to his power to create. David says, I don't think they are demons at all. There's no indication at all that these are demonic beings because they have had crash demons, and this is the whole idea of the idea that they need a craft of some kind. Calling aliens demons is like the refuge of religious groups to keep the sheep under the control. See, and this is another control thing that goes back to a lot of atheists think that we're trying to keep the people under control and they're going to go crazy if they don't have religion. Nonsense. If God created humans on Earth, why then not other beings on planets more advanced than us? He did. Able to visit us and necessarily and not necessarily of malicious intent. Earth is under the influence of evil, greed, vicious human beings as it is. Well, I believe that, and I believe that's why that these things don't want to visit us. Righteous we've been quarantined because we're nuts. The humanity is nuts down here. So demons have vehicles, again with the idea of UFOs. By definition, any of Anything not of this world is aliens according to Christianity. So demons, fallen angels, and well as God, Jesus, and his angels. This is what Rachel says. They are not human or of this world. This is a lot of people are just fascinated by this idea, but have been a couple of comments where they have separated this idea and said, well, maybe they're good, maybe they're bad. And that's where this is going. It's going to the good versus bad idea of this whole thing. I'm going to go through this real quick. Ships, alien species. I always get confused by this. No idea. Demonic, how people laugh. We'll go through this at the end, but I think it would be good to go back and look at this real quick. Finally, let's get to the point where we talk a little bit about Joe Kent. Joe Kent did a resignation and said that this, Iran poses no threat to us, and I don't know why we're in there. And that was a pretty big deal. But he was also asked about UFOs on Breaking Point, so I thought we'd play that just to see what he says about it.
Last question for an issue very near and dear to my heart. Did you ever see any evidence of extraterrestrial life while you were in government?
I did not. No, I was mostly in the Middle East. I didn't. I've got some friends who were pretty involved in looking for those types of things.
Okay. Can you share anything?
Yeah, no, I heard a good deal. I think it's called the Skywatcher Project. There's a good deal online. I know one of the guys who was involved in that, not in like the ESP stuff, but in actually being able to signal them through signals. Very credible guy, and so what he found and what he's talked about, I think is worth taking a look at. But I was a terrorism guy, and so I didn't run across any aliens and terrorism.
Right. Well, you never know. There are several orbs. There are a lot of orbs that appeared in battlefields in Syria and Mosul. I'll send you a few links.
100%. I've seen the footage. 100%. I just never saw it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So he was involved in this in some way, shape, or form. He has friends that are involved in it. So that's interesting. That everyone in the government seems to know a little bit about this in some form, shape, or another. All right. So how does this all wrap up? Well, I think it's interesting that I'm just going through these weird comments that I saved. I think they're wild. God is coming soon, and I think that we are closer to something appearing than we ever thought possible. I think that we need to step it up a notch, and that's why I absolutely think it's so important to share this booklet, and I really want to do more of this stuff where we talk about this stuff. In fact, I thought about just reading you. I'm just going to show you a little bit more about this real quick. This is going to go through what is current events and currently happened, so that Christians are on the same page of this. Encounters that we've had, things that have been seen. Ryan Graves, talks about U.S. military forces. Lou Elizondo. These encounters were not rare and isolated. UAPs, they were observed daily basis. This is a quote from Ryan Graves. But then it goes into actually what we think it is. Identifier number 1, signs that appear in the heavens. We're talking about the stars. We're talking about the truth about these things. We don't really go into this whole Hollywood stupidity. And then we understand that spiritualism, this is identifier number 2, spiritual influence teaches false teachings. And the Bible warns of this. And we go into many verses that talk about this from 1 Timothy 4:1. We talk about testing the spirits. And then we also go into a warning from inside the occult. We talk about Roger Morneau and what he said about this, because he's definitely a testimony that adds credibility to the truth about this, of what's happening. We show where he's right in the Bible. Identifier number 4, the promise of 1,000 years of peace. Where do you get this book from? This is not printed yet. We're trying to print it, and I'm hoping that you guys can help me print this, because it takes a lot of money to print these things, especially if it's fully illustrated and colored. The promise of 1,000 years. Why do I talk about this? Because if there is a third deception, it's this one. If there is the worship issue, then there is absolutely the spiritualism issue. People are going to start thinking that we need to get everyone in line because we want 1,000 years of peace on earth. And there's not peace on earth. There will never be peace on earth. and I prove it in this section right here. We go through the whole thing and we talk about how peace on earth is actually peace in heaven. Then we go into we end that with talking about Joe Jordan and his testimony, and then identify the messages that contradict the gospel with Joe's interpretation of things, of how it's happening. He's a MUFON director. He studied these things. He has 600 testimonies about this. Then identifier number 6, the dead know nothing. I really nail this really hard. About a quarter of this book talks about the state of the dead, because I think it's going to be such a big deal about this. And so we really get into it, answering some questions about the state of the dead. People have a lot of questions from everything from rich man and Lazarus to what Christ said, and different parables. We go into additional questions about the state of the dead, thief on the cross, everything. We try to cover everything. Witch of Endor, Moses and Elijah, souls under the altar, Samuel and the witch. This is quite extensive. And then we talk about the identifier number 7, deceptive miracle signs. This goes into the Bledsoe story and seeing the woman that he says, and how it all ties back to the Bible and showing that this is absolutely a biblical thing that is not good and part of the New Age. And the final reflection, connecting all the patterns together, we review everything and we show the truth behind it. And we put a little section in here that says, hey, help us support and continue to do this. I don't have a back on this yet, and I don't have an index page at the top of this, but everything, if you want to get this, it's going to be like a little amazing fact study guide, a 5.5 by 7.5. I forget what it is. 5.5 by 8.5, I think it is. And it's going to be great. It's going to be really good. And but I'm going to have it ready by May 17, which is when I go to Washington, D.C., and Remnant Publication is going to print it for us. And they said have it in yesterday because they need like 6 weeks to print. And so I'm going to go on faith here and put everything I can into this. And hopefully if you guys want to reach out and help me produce this, everything is going towards this thing. A key of a good nonprofit, and by the way, this is a nonprofit, so it's a tax write-off if you help me produce this. A key of a good nonprofit is that most of the money goes towards the material to make a difference, not going to someone's salary or someone's pocket. And I can guarantee you, I've never taken anything. I mean, since it's been a nonprofit, we haven't had anything that has gone straight to my pockets, because I'm a real estate agent. I'm trying to get this stuff done, and truly, if I have to spend time doing real estate stuff, it's going to take away from this work. But fortunately, we haven't had to do that. God has been good, and everything I've produced so far has gone into the ministry from your donations to help make this work. So I appreciate you guys, and we together are making this happen, even for people who can't afford it and that want to get this this book to share. The first little booklet, I don't think I have one. The little pocketbook that I created, Aliens, Angels, or Ancestors, that was a very Seventh-day Adventist church-centric, with a lot of information from our church founders. I needed someone that really understood what we were doing. We produced 30,000 of them, and we've almost handed out about 25,000 of them. The next booklet, the big one, this is the one to reach the masses with. This is the fully illustrated study guide, and this is the one that I think is going to just do some amazing work, severe damage to the enemy. And so that's this one. It's not out yet. Don't reach out to me. I've had so many people email me saying, how do we get a hold of that book? I don't have a physical copy of it yet. I have to make the last couple pages tomorrow and then send it over to my contact at Remnant tomorrow. And then it's going to get printed over the next 6 weeks and hopefully be done by the time we get to Washington. That's what we're doing. And so I'm putting everything I got forcing this forward because this is the whole point of this. I appreciate you guys. We got super chats coming in. I appreciate you. I will start here with 100. Oh, very, very nice. I appreciate you guys. CE4. Oh, hey, Joe. Good to see you. Very good. And Lisa, guys, hit that like button. Hey, she's right. Hit that like button. Hey, appreciate you guys. Everyone. This is going to be really, really good. And getting this information out. And Joe is in it. I'm excited because I sent this to Joe. I said, "Is there anything you want me to correct?" He said, "No, this is good." And everything is biblical. This is 100% sola scriptura, straight from the Bible. But I had to produce that small little booklet first to get everyone on the same page because I've had people. I had to reach three audiences. There are three audiences I have to reach here. One is my church, and I've had people reach out and says, "Well, if this is true, then we would have been told it in our church's writings." Come on. I get what you're saying, but the Bible is the foundation of our faith. And so this is that thing that reaches out to everybody, right? This is that magazine, that little booklet. It's going to be about this big, right? And this is the one that reaches everyone. Who's the third audience then? The third audience is the ones who don't accept the love of the truth. Those are the scientists. So we got to make a completely logical argument that mostly guides people through logic and then points them to the Bible and says, look, if this is the confusion behind this, let's go and look further into Christianity. And then I'll tell them, hey, grab this second book right here. And so that's kind of the progression. We're going to lead people down kind of a Bible school to focus more on this stuff, understand it. And I appreciate you guys hanging in there and really listening because this is super important. We're going to Washington, D.C. I'm going there to hand out these material during the prayer, but then afterward, I'm spending as long as I need there and standing in the Capitol all day to find these Anna Paulina Luna, Tim Burchett, all these people that walk out and talk. Hopefully they'll be there. I hope they'll be there. Pray for me because, it could be that no one is voting that week or something. But I got to be there longer than just a weekend because no one votes on the weekend. Everyone votes on the Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is when ChatGPT says everyone votes. So I'm going to be standing, talking to people, trying to get people to look into this. Hopefully get some video too. I'll carry my 360 camera and I'll upload some stuff and keep you guys updated. But if you think this is a worthy cause, let's do it. Let's get this done. This is a chance we can get in front of the enemy because God has given us a prophecy to understand what is going to happen in the future. So if that's you and that's me, let's do this together. Okay, we're done. I'm enough pushing. And I, again, hope that you guys can also join me in DC if you guys want to. I have a group going already. I'm going to send out an email to you guys tonight because there's a number of people that already emailed me, bradley@strangenormal.org. If you're going to be there, reach out to me, bradley@strangenormal.org. I've already gotten your emails. I'm going to send you out an email tonight, and we'll talk about it. Folks, let's look at the chat, and we're done. Let's see. Might be able to go to DC. All right, some guy. I love your username. Everyone would love to go, but I have no passport. Oh, hey, are you out of country? I completely understand. Jesus is our example. Amen. We will be there with tinfoil hats. Absolutely. Yep. Looking forward to seeing you there, Jeff. How can we donate? strangenormal.org/donate, or just go to Strange Normal up at the top right. You can click donate. There's going to be a new website coming out here pretty soon called orionmedia.tv, but it's not done yet. It'll be done probably by the 8th, so another week or so. But that's the way. And there's a couple ways to do it. I have a Venmo. I have a Cash App. But the easiest method is probably just go to the website and click on the donate button. It'll show you a place where you can enter your information. There's also a place where if you're international or if you need to send it by wire, you can go and get a little document that has all that information on it. That's on the website. And you can do old school too. P.O. Box 42, Harrison, Tennessee, 37341. We'll get you there. And that's on the website /donate as well. strangenormal.org/donate. I appreciate you, Joe. We're getting this rolling, and I'm trying my best. I don't know what else. If anybody thinks anything else we can do on this, I'm down. I'm all ears, because if you told me 5 years ago I would be going to Washington, D.C. to talk to them about aliens, I would have said, you're nuts. Life is weird, man. And I wouldn't even be into this topic if I really didn't think it was something to do with Bible prophecy. I'm convinced. We're in it, and I'm in it to win it. So let's get it going. 2026, 2027. All right, let's close up. Let's have a prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for giving us time to think about these things. Lots is happening right now, and we're going forward. We know that we have our marching orders. We know the truth, and we want to reach as many as possible. So please guide our hands, guide our mouth, our tongue, our feet. Guide the wheels on my electric scooter as I go around the the Capitol. I don't know. We want to reach as many as we can. And I ask specifically that you help me meet the people that I need to meet in this location so that we can make the biggest difference. We love you, Lord. We look forward to the day where we spend at your feet. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. As usual, my name is Bradley. Oh my. Thank you so much, Eva Fisher, for your super chat. Hit that like button, and we will see you next time. My name is Bradley. This has been Pure Strangeness, Absolute Normalcy, Strange Normal. We'll see you next time.
You're watching Strange Normal, where the truth is the truth.